Hi class, today we're going to be talking about copyright. So I want you to think, what does copyright mean and why is this important? Our standards today, Strand 4.6, the library encourages students to use digital intellectual property responsibly and understand current copyright rules. My role today will be to mentor students in safe, legal, and ethical practices with digital tools and the protection of intellectual rights and property. Students, your goal today will be to demonstrate an understanding of and respect for the rights and obligations of using and sharing intellectual property. As I go over this presentation, please follow along and on copyright. Take your Cornell notes as you follow along. Copyright. So let's look at the definition first. It is the legal rights to an original work. Again, the legal rights to an original work. It determines the conditions in which anyone may copy in whole or part of original works. So the copyright law determines how much we can copy from someone else's original work. If you did not create it, you are not the owner to it. So let's put it in this perspective. Imagine being an artist and you see your artwork on a billboard. That would be pretty cool, right? Or imagine being a musician and you hear a beat you created being played in a song. How about a photographer or a poet and you see your work being used on social media? All awesome things. Okay, now imagine not getting any recognition or compensation, meaning money or payment, for all of that hard work. Not cool, right? Wouldn't you want to get recognized or paid for something that you did or wrote and created? I know I would, and that's why we have copyright laws. We have the Copyright Act of 1976. Without copyright laws, writers, artists, and media producers would not receive the compensation they deserve for their creations. So let me explain a little bit further. Copyright equals protection. Copyright laws protects creators and their creative work so that other people can't alter or change the creator's work without their permission. Copyright might seem like a bad thing, but it is actually a great way to protect our creative work. So again, if you were that artist that created something, you would be able to get paid and get credit for the work that you are creating. And no one can alter your work without your permission. So what's protected under copyright law? According to copyright.gov, examples of copyrightable works include literary works, musical works, including any accompanying words, dramatic works, including any accompanying music, pictorial, graphic, and sculptural works, motion pictures and other audiovisual works, sound recordings, and architectural works. There are many things protected under the copyright law. Anything that is basically written a story, a movie, a song, lyrics, sounds to a music beat. Everything there is under copyright law. What is not protected by copyright? Copyright does not protect ideas, facts, data, or anything created by the U.S. government. So, for example, the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence. All of those are free for use and are not protected by copyright. Which brings us to our next term, fair use. Fair use is an important copyright exemption for teachers and students. Small parts of a copyrighted work may be used when properly cited. There are 4 basic criteria for determining what is fair use. Some of you are probably wondering, well, what can I use? How am I going to do this research? What can I do? Well, let's think about these 4 questions. Number 1, what is the purpose for? Meaning, is the work for nonprofit? Are you going to get paid for it? Or is it for educational purpose? If it's for an educational purpose, it is probably fair use. Number 2, what is the nature of the work? If it is for general reading for anybody, then it is probably fair use. But if you're targeting a specific group, it may not be. Number 3, how much do you plan on using? If you expect to use a small amount, more likely it is fair use. And number 4, will there be a negative effect on potential sales of original work? So that means if you use the original work and it will affect the sales in a negative way, where they will not make, the creator will not make money, then it's probably not fair use. Usually anything that is for entertainment purposes will not be fair use. But who cares, right? Why is this important again? Well, here's why. The Copyright Act of 1976 contains both criminal and civil sanctions, meaning you could face possible fines anywhere from $750 to $30,000 per infringement. That is a lot of money. Copyright violation is a serious crime. That's why it's important. Term of protection. Did you know if you were the author of an original story, your work would be protected under copyright law 70 years after your death? Depending on the date of publication, some works can be copyrighted up to 100 years. All right, so what can you do then? Well, if the work you are wanting to use is copyrighted, make sure you have permission. That would be the first thing to do. To get permission, you can either email the original creator or the publisher, and if needed, pay a fee for the use. Usually, sometimes if you ask, they may not ask for a fee, and you can be able to use their work for free. Next, you can find resources from a public domain that is a free use. And of course, lastly, give credit to the original creator. Here's something to think about. The next time you are listening to the radio, ask yourself, is this song a remake? Has this song been copyrighted? You'll be surprised to find out some of your favorite songs have had to pay compensation for it not being an original song. And remember, you must have permission to use someone's own creative work. Remember again, if you were that artist, you would want to have compensation and recognition for the work you've done. And I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want some stranger out there recreating and changing your work. Here are my works cited. Thank you, students, and I hope you were able to learn a lot about copyright. We will now move on to our next segment, which is our lesson on copyright.